The railways have been an important part of our country's history, from the foundation of the Stockton and Darlington Railway to the Big Four and the golden days of steam, to the modernisation plan and high-speed rail. But with steam engines retired on the national network and preservation lines providing people with a look into the past and keeping the history of the railways alive, one part of the UK is a unique case when it comes to the railway motive power. Found just off the west coast near Barrow-in-Furness, the island of Sodor stands out in railway preservation as being the only railway still running revenue-earning steam services alongside diesels and electrics of older classes on a daily basis. In this series we look at the North Western Railway, its main line and its many branch lines, as well as the narrow gauge Scarlow Railway and the Arsdale 15-inch gauge line. This is the history of Sodor. In this episode we'll be looking at three of the branch lines, the Kirk Ronin, the Noramby and the Peele Godrid lines. We start with the Kirk Ronin at the line's namesake, the terminus at Kirk Ronin itself. This 4-platform station was built in the 1930s and refurbished in the early 2000s. A grand opening was held just days later after Gordon had a small accident and burst through the wall at the end of the station, which was commemorated with the cutout now called Gordon's View. Just outside the station is the small yard space, with a small shed area for the line's locos, Adam, Lily and Timothy. Along with the transfer shed, the yard space includes an oil terminal to load tankers from oil brought in by ships, a horse stable and loading dock for the nearby racetrack, and even a small tram line for Timothy to take wagons down to the docks to load up fish and other produce. The line runs rather flat through the farm fields up to Rolf's Castle, used by passengers wanting to go to the castle ruins, and sometimes a special will come down the line for the racetrack. The line passes a flour mill on its way to a Y. That connects to the main line in several directions. We will start by going right. The line is primarily used by goods traffic, first running past the Sodor power station. This is where the merry-go-round trains from the mainland drop off coal for the power station before heading off towards Crovan's Gate. The power station has its own sports club and cricket field and a football stadium. Leaving the power station, you run into the Sodor Ironworks. Scrap metal and steel will be brought here to be recycled into metal coils or beams to be exported off the island and reused in a never-ending list of products. Ari and Bert shunt here with Diesel 10 bringing in trucks for scrap from around the island. Engines from the mainland will come to collect the processed product to take away. The line passes a small lumber yard before arriving back at Crovan's Gate, which we looked at last time. If we swing back round to the Y and take the track to the left like a passenger train would, the trains can take a few different tracks now. Taking a left along a single track line to head along to the main line at Kellerby, or taking a right up a different single track line, passing a request halt at Harwin Lane before again arriving at Kellerby Station, which we covered in the very first episode of this series. It's not far from here that the Noramby line starts. Splitting off at Cabaloon, the Pacer twins Edwin and Ewan run along the single track railway, the line being upgraded to have all new electric LED signals. The branch actually runs along a small section of the line linked to the ironworks, so it's not improbable that the Kirk Ronin could run a train to Noramby. But the Noramby line splits off at the small lumberyard. Crossing over the main line twice before arriving at Church Station. This is the location of the shed for the Noramby line and a small yard. While called Church Station, it's actually the island's only cathedral. While not as large as others in the country, it was built as one, but unfortunately the village it was built near never grew in size. The line carries on before swinging left onto a single track section. The line heading right goes up to the transfer yards on the wharf from the previous episodes. Passing over the river, the railway arrives at Ballyhoo. The town took a major hit when the line was closed originally, but it's slowly coming back to life now it's been reopened. The line continues to the Noramby Transport Hub, where a hovercraft ferry loads up cars to take over the sea along with some goods. Finally, arriving at the small, peaceful South Noramby station, the village is starting to prosper now that the line has reopened and the hovercraft connection has helped boost the local economy. We go over now to Kildane to explore the only standard gauge line not part of the North Western Railway, the Peele Godrid line. This falls under the Sodor Electric Preservation Group. Set up with the aid of the North Western Railway, the Preservation Society has been set up to preserve electric engines and give them a line to run on outside of the main line of England, featuring an EM1 known as Abbey, overhauled so she can run off the AC overhead line instead of the DC lines of the Woodhead route that her class used to run. A set of 1938 London tube stock that were converted to run on the Isle of Wight railways on their own third rail network, brought over to Sodor after their class was recently withdrawn. Their names are Ashley and Annabelle. And then Andy, the NWR's own electric loco used to haul goods up and down the line. Kildane features an extensive electric network within its yard area, offering up most lines to be used by the electric engines. However, a diesel shunter also works the line, Class 09 Paxton, a kind diesel who helps all that he can. He's even been known to take some passenger trains here and there. The line now diverts off to the right, with all new LED 4 aspect signals along the line. It is by far the most modern railway on the island. We arrive at Abbey Station, with 3 platforms and a runaround loop. The station is the primary passing point for all services up and down the line. Built in 1910, the station was never built with a goods yard. Instead, platform 3 was used to load and unload goods from the passing trains. The station was axed under beaching, but the line remained in use for goods traffic only. It was partially electrified before the axing, and the Preservation Group got a government grant to complete it. Just a little further down the line is the group's main depot. Built using an old carriage works building, the group has laid third rail and overheads into the shed for the electric engines to get in and out easily and be serviced easily, with Paxton helping shunt in the small sidings and depot for the track maintenance. The line becomes single track a few miles away before arriving at Kirk Ronin. This station is famous for meeting up with the Caldy Fell railway that climbs the Caldy Fell mountain. The engines that run this line are all similar in scope to those on the Snowdon mountain, as they were built not long after their counterparts at the Snowdon line, and have also only had one accident at the start of their service when the brakes failed on an engine. Kirk Ronin also has an old stately home that is a big draw for tourism. Passing under the town of Peele Godrid itself, the line terminates here with another single platform. However, this area does get rather busy every few weeks when a DRS train arrives to take away nuclear waste from the island's nuclear power station. Construction on the station started in the 80s, but planning had begun much sooner, meaning the line couldn't be fully closed down. With 2 reactors, the power station has 2 trains a month come in to take away the waste and nuclear flasks to Sellafield in Cumbria. The town itself is also an old walled town. Built as a defence against invasion by the Irish in the 1700s, the town has kept itself within the borders of the wall and has a small museum dedicated to the history of the fort. The trains terminate here and proceed back up the line, taking the tourists home. Thank you for joining us for these 3 lines. We will finish the series in the next episode with the last 2 branch lines we have yet to cover.
Reach for the wind, reach for the whistle, go where the rail may run. Reach for the song, reach for the story, follow the rainbow sun. To a shining time station where dreams can come true, waiting there for you. So much to see, so far to travel, so much to learn to know. Friends by your side, hopes to hold on to, who knows how far we'll go. To a shining time station where dreams can come true. Your own imagination's waiting there for you. the shining time station where dreams can come true. Your own imagination's waiting there for you, waiting for you.